Well, good morning, everyone. It's always a pleasure to welcome my friend and colleague, the High Representative of the European Union, here to Washington. We always have a lot to discuss, and we are always relying on each other because, as I said in Munich a few weeks ago, Europe remains America's partner of first resort on all of the global challenges we are confronting together. I know that Kathy understands the significance of our cooperation because she and I have had the opportunity to meet on many occasions in the last several years. And we again today had a very comprehensive discussion. Let me just quickly run over a few of the issues. I will turn first to Iran. We are very grateful to Lady Ashton for her leadership on the P5+1. The international community has been looking to Iran to demonstrate it is prepared to come to the table in a serious and constructive way. We have been reviewing Iran's proposal to resume talks on its nuclear activities and consulting closely between us and with our other P5+1 partners. This response from the Iranian government is one we've been waiting for, and if we do proceed, it will have to be a sustained effort that can produce results. Turning to Syria, I know that the High Representative joins me in once again condemning in the strongest possible terms the ongoing violence against the Syrian people perpetrated by the Assad regime. I also want to extend, on behalf of myself and our government, our sympathies to the family of Anthony Shadid and to the New York Times for his untimely death. He was somebody I always turned to and read very carefully, and if I didn't have the time when I got to the press reporting, I would put it aside and read it because he had his pulse on what was happening. Yesterday's UN General Assembly vote demonstrated an overwhelming international consensus that the bloody assaults must end. In the face of this global condemnation, the regime in Damascus, however, appears to be escalating its assaults on civilians, and those who are suffering cannot get access to the humanitarian assistance they need and deserve. So we will keep working to pressure and isolate the regime, to support the opposition, and to provide relief to the people of Syria. I will be attending the Friends of Syria conference in Tunisia next week, where a number of nations will work to intensify pressure on the regime and to mobilize the humanitarian relief that is needed. We also hope to coordinate efforts to enable a Syrian-led transition before the regime's actions tear the country apart. We're looking for an inclusive, democratic process. Ultimately, our shared values between the U.S. and the EU are the bedrock of our cooperation, and we are promoting those values together. We also discussed the situation in the Balkans. We share the view that the future of both Serbia and Kosovo lies with the European Union, and the United States strongly supports the dialogue that the EU is leading to try to advance Euro integration for both Serbia and Kosovo. Deputy Secretary Burns is encouraging both sides to remain flexible and open to compromise. We have a very long list of what we discussed, but I'll just end it there and turn it over to Lady Ashton with my appreciation for her leadership and the great partnership we have.
Well, first of all, can I say what a pleasure it is to be back here and to be meeting and working as closely as I do with you. It is extremely significant that we're meeting today because we meet on the back of having received a letter from Dr. Jalili from Iran in response to my letter from October. As you said, we are consulting colleagues and analysing closely what this letter would mean. Let me say that I think it's good to see that the letter has arrived and that there is a potential possibility that Iran may be ready to start talks. We'll continue to discuss and make sure that what we're looking at is substantive, but I'm cautious and I'm optimistic at the same time for this. It also demonstrates the importance of the twin-track approach, that the pressure that we have put on together, the sanctions that have been put there because that's the responsibility of the international community, I believe are having an effect. But we, of course, want to resolve this through talks. As you said, Hilary, the situation in Syria is a cause for enormous concern, and we feel extremely worried about the level of violence and terror that is happening within that country. We've been very clear that President Assad should stand aside and should enable a process that would bring the people of Syria together, all of them, an inclusive process that could take the country forward. I want to commend the work of Nabil al-Arabi, the Secretary General of the Arab League, who has shown great leadership in bringing together the Arab community, but in coordination, working closely with the international community to demonstrate that inclusivity and to demonstrate the leadership on the ground. I hope that the meeting next week will give us a chance to consider how we can support humanitarian efforts, especially. And I will be working with the UN, the OIC and the Arab League, as we did through the situation in Libya, on the humanitarian side of the challenges that we face. I hope it will also show, too, the international consensus to try and see the situation in Syria end. As you said, there are hundreds of things on our agendas at all times, and we keep in constant touch so we can deal with only some of them at every meeting. The situation in Serbia, Kosovo, of course, is very important to the European Union because we do believe, as you rightly say, the future for both lies within the European Union. The team that we've got there at the moment are working closely together to try and support both into their future. I hope that both will be able to work on the plan that we've put to them that will enable Serbia to become a candidate, will enable Kosovo to move forward with visas, with trade, with economic support, and eventually to see its future as well with the European Union. Thank you.
Today, we'll start with New York Times, Steve Myers.
Madam Secretary, Lady Ashton, thank you. The Iranian letter refers to a readiness for dialogue, talks at the earliest possibility, and also significantly no preconditions in it for those talks. And yet you seem somewhat hesitant to embrace this. Is that you think the letter is not sincere? And what more do you need to see before you could begin, or what next steps could you see for those talks to begin? Thank you.
Well, first, as I think we both have said, we are evaluating the response. And our unity within the P5+1 has been absolutely critical in dealing with Iran in the past. It remains so going forward. It takes time to consult and to do so in a thorough manner. So we need to give time to our partners in the P5+1 process to do their own evaluation. But we've been clear about two things that I want to stress. First, as outlined in Kathy's October letter to Iran, any conversation with Iran has to begin with the discussion of its nuclear program, and Iran's response to Kathy's letter does appear to acknowledge and accept that. And second, we must be assured that if we make a decision to go forward, we see a sustained effort by Iran to come to the table, to work until we have reached an outcome that has Iran coming back into compliance with their international obligations. So we're evaluating all of these factors, but I think it's fair to say, and of course I'll let Kathy speak for herself, that we think this is an important step, and we welcome the letter.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We see the things that you've seen in the letter, no preconditions and a recognition of what we'll be talking about. The next question really is to look at then where we left off in Istanbul. And you'll recall that we put out in Istanbul a series of options for confidence-building measures, things that Iran could do that would help us move forward with the talks, things that the inspectors would be allowed to do, for example. We also said at that time they could come forward with their own ideas,